Hey adventurers, my name is Robert and I am from the Planeswalker Academy. Um, got some YouTube which this video will go on to, and we're also going to share it with Geeks and Games, one of the local stores up here in the area. Um, but the whole idea for today is just kind of a learn to play Magic video. We're just going to run through a quick game, but I also want to start by showing off card types. The whole idea is those of you who are new get a kind of an understanding about how to play Magic, what to do, and we can kind of go from there. You're welcome to kind of post questions and ask the store as well. You can ask myself and just start learning how to play this great game. One of the first things we'll take a look at, Magic is a card game where you are battling an opponent and you want to win the game. That's it in a nutshell. The cards you're going to be using, though, will be classified in different categories. You can have creatures, planeswalkers, which we probably won't actually go to in this Learn to Play. They're a little bit more complex. There's instants, sorceries, enchantments, artifacts. We won't worry about commanders. That's another higher level play. And there's also land. Creatures, enchantments, artifacts, and land are going to be your permanents. They're going to stay in play for as long as they're allowed, unless there's a spell that or damage that gets rid of them. Instants and sorceries are used for that moment. They will cause an effect, and then they go away. We'll see more of those later. You're going to also have different rarities, commons, uncommons, make a bulk of many of your cards. Rares and mythics are going to be really powerful, and maybe a smaller percentage. When you start building decks, you may start seeing a lot more of them, as you want to have powerful effects to win your game. Each of your decks will be divided into any number of colors. White, blue, black, red, green. These are the 5 colors of Magic. You can choose one color to play with. You can choose multiple colors to play with. Really the choice is how you want to play. Each color represents a play style. White being more of kind of justice. You're going to have some creatures and kind of an overall good balance. Blue is going to be your control type, your wizards, if you will. Black are going to be your zombies. There's a lot of undead and sacrifice at all costs to win. Red is very aggressive, think fire. And green is going to be just the power of life. A lot of big creatures and just powerful spells to make those creatures big. You have colorless, which are usually your artifacts. They are going to be a creature or just something that impacts the board. Maybe it's something the creature picks up. And then multicolor is going to be spells that have 2 or more colors in them. Let's take a look at just white cards just to kind of see what they may look like. We'll first look at some land. It will say land. This one says it's a land desert, and that's the kind of type it is. Or maybe it'll just be a land. These right here are what we call non-basic lands. They have an effect and they do something. Let's see, and often you may see, we'll see basics in a moment. Enchantments are going to be, again, those permanents. They kind of just stay in play. This one says when a creature comes into play under your control, you gain a life. You have creatures. They have a power and toughness. This one says it is a 1/1, which means its power is 1, it's going to always deal 1 damage, and its toughness is 1, it can take 1 damage before it dies. This one also has an effect. We'll get into effects later as we get into more complicated endeavors, but we're just going to show the basics. Let's see, and this is an instant. It says that a target creature will get +2/+2, so it's going to affect its power and toughness for just that moment. This one has some more abilities. You can give your creature flying if you cast it at a certain time. And we have, let's find a nice little sorcery. Alright, so then we have the sorcery. Now, a sorcery can only be played during your main phases. You have 2 main phases during a turn. This one says there's an additional cost to play the spell. You tap your creature, and then a creature. You're going to get rid of a creature and put a 1 counter on that tapped creature that you control. Instants can be played at almost any time, while sorceries can only be played during your turn. Let's see. So that goes over most of the types and everything. Your lands you can only play one during a turn as long as you have them in your hand. Creatures can only be played during your turn, during your first main phase or your second main phase. And enchantments are going to be the same thing. And let's take a look at actual play. We're going to just kind of run through the tutorial a little bit. And it's going to give us just a brief little look on what to do. So we have our 2 lands, and then we have a creature. Now this creature says that we have to pay 2 white to play it, and now we don't have lands. Your land is going to act as your mana. It's going to act as your currency. Like with anything, you need to be able to pay for your stuff. So we're going to tap our 2 white mana to pay the cost of the Shrine Keeper.
You can summon creatures to fight for you.
Let's see, so we're gonna in most cases you always just want to play your land. So we're gonna play another creature as well because we can pay for it. And now we've gone through our first main phase. We're now going to go into our attack phase. We can only attack with 1 creature because you need to wait a turn before attacking. We're going to go over power and toughness again. Now our opponent does not have any creatures to block with. Just like with the mana, our creature taps, so you can't use it until your next turn.
Mouse over cards to inspect their details.
Alright, so at the beginning of our turn, our land and creature untap, and then we're going to play another creature because we have 3 mana. This is represented by a white and 2 colorless, which you can pay for. You can use any land you have to pay for generic mana.
Like a specific title, or just...
Now, we're going to want to attack with both creatures, just to keep on the pressure for our opponent.
Like for me, like, yes, you can roll Project Phantom and find and mark.
Now, our opponent has decided to block, so we're going to see this nifty little combat. The powers and the toughness will go cross and cross to each other. So 2 power attacks 2 toughness, and 2 power attacks 2 toughness. As we can see by the animation, the creature's power or toughness goes down to 0, and that means that they will die and go to the graveyard.
Admirable. Pity I have to crush you.
So let's see what our opponent does. they're going to play a really big creature. Now this one, being a 4/4, its power and toughness are much bigger than both of our creatures. So we don't want to attack into it because it's going to survive combat. I'm going to say no attacks.
You've shown spirit, but I will show you strength.
Now, our opponent is playing a sorcery. This is going to be a one-time effect that gives the creature +4/+4 until end of turn, it's going to make it into an 8/8. Because we're only at 7 life right now, we're definitely going to want to block
One of your creatures
and survive. Now I'm choosing to use my 2/2 to block because 3 damage is going to be more powerful when my opponent's only at 4.
Kind of like we were talking about. Mm-hmm.
So now the creature has died. Now, looking at this, the damage stays on the creature until the end of turn. That's useful later. Now we've drawn a sorcery spell. It says destroy target tapped creature. Our opponent's creature is tapped, and so it'd be a good thing to use it on. Now we're going to make our attack, since our opponent has no blockers. But now they're going to make up a wall, paying 2 creatures. What did we draw? This is sorcery is going to say tap all creatures your opponents control with toughness 2 or less. So this should tap down both of their creatures, letting us get in to reduce our opponent's life total to 0.
Well fought, outsider.
And there you have it. Just a nice, quick tutorial on casting creatures, casting sorceries, and attacking your opponent. The only thing different are going to be instants, which have a faster response, but they're going to do the same thing. As a sorcery, you can cast them at any time, but they're going to give that one-time effect. I hope this video has been helpful, and there will be more created to get into a bit more more explanation on some more concepts and a little bit more intense gameplay. But I hope that you'll leave some comments and definitely leave questions, and we'll definitely get to them as they come in. Thank you, and have a great evening.